"Don't be afraid. Continue the chant." Those were the first words from the priest as he encouraged the spirit exorcists to keep reciting the incantation, while beside them, their comrades burned one by one. The only motivation driving them was to protect the real world we live in from the invasion of demons. As they chanted, the high priest also caught fire, and the flames spread throughout the church. Now we turn to the protagonist. His name is Rin. In his first appearance, we see him fighting with his classmates at school to prevent them from hurting birds. Afterward, he returns to his father at the church, who tries to understand the cause of his injuries and chaotic state. But Rin does his best to hide the fact that he had caused trouble again, giving a strange excuse that even a child wouldn't believe. He continues to be a major disappointment after being fired from his job, unlike his younger brother, who was successful, a genius, and easily accepted into a prestigious academy. These are the words of his friends at the church where they live, and it angers Rin. After shouting, the fireplace in the room suddenly goes out in a strange and mysterious way. Then Yukio, Rin's younger brother, begins treating his wounds, and like a child, Rin complains of the sting from the antiseptic. Rin notices his brother starting to pack his things, preparing to move to his new school dormitory, and with a sad tone, Yukio begins advising him to grow up, focus on his life, and find a stable job. Rin replies that he also wishes for that to happen, but people who act strangely always end up causing trouble for those around them. Their conversation is interrupted by their friends from the church, who arrive to offer Rin a job, complete with a suit for his interview. On his way out, he meets his father, who asks why he's dressed up and where he's going. After learning that Rin is attending a job interview, his father helps him tie his necktie neatly and asks Rin to prove that he can be reliable. However, from the first question in the interview, Rin starts to get nervous, but the manager gives him a chance and a probationary period. He is assigned tough tasks, like moving a lot of boxes in front of the store, pushing shopping carts, and cleaning the place. However, every task ends in failure due to his clumsiness. But when Rin tries cooking noodles for customers, the results are surprising. The noodles sell out quickly because his cooking is exceptional. The manager is impressed and finally hires Rin as a chef there. Excited, even before going home, Rin tells his father and brother that he was hired. They ask him to come quickly to attend the party prepared for his brother before he leaves. However, on his way out, Rin meets a little girl chasing her scarf that's been blown away, and as he returns it, he notices a strange, monkey-like creature holding the end of the scarf and running off with it. Shocked, the scarf slips from his hand, and the strange creature enters the store where Rin works. The creature begins moving between the shelves, knocking down the displayed items. Rin chases it, and before the shelves fall on the little girl, Rin holds them up with his body. However, the store owner has a different opinion and fires Rin on his first day for causing a disturbance. Feeling guilty, Rin decides not to go home because he can't face his family. His family begins searching for him, and his brother Yukio is the first to find him. Though Yukio criticizes his actions, he asks him to come home, only to be surprised when the father of the girl Rin saved is waiting to thank him. Rin tries to explain that the girl was being bothered by a strange creature, but the little girl insists that the creature is an evil spirit that initially only disturbed her in her room, but now it has started bothering her all the time. The girl's father, of course, didn't believe her, but Rin's father, Shiro, gave her a small plant in a bottle to protect her and asked the girl's father to better understand his daughter. After they left, Shiro told Rin that he was grounded and couldn't leave the house because the store had sent a list of damages he had caused. Mysteriously, Shiro went down to the church's basement and opened a drawer to find a sword sealed with a strange symbol, but the seal had already burned away. This was a bad omen. Rin went about his day as usual, but when he opened his bedroom window, he saw something truly strange. As soon as the window opened, he saw fly-like creatures flying everywhere, but no one around him seemed to notice. The day got even weirder when a boy Rin had hit before started provoking him to leave the house. Eventually, the boy succeeded in making Rin disobey his father's orders, though the boy had a hidden agenda, wanting Rin to forget what happened the day before to protect his image in front of his family. Someone offered Rin money in a sneaky way, knowing his family's financial situation wasn't great. The person even started mocking Rin by bringing up his brother's debt to attend the academy. This made Rin so angry that he hit the person. At that moment, the man revealed his true identity as a demon, growing horns and claws with a terrifying appearance. Strangely, only Rin could see the man's true form, while his friends couldn't. The demon began threatening Rin, saying he would burn and kill him, but suddenly, Rin exploded with blue flames enveloping his body. Oddly enough, the demon wasn't surprised. He introduced himself as Strahd in a respectful tone. Strahd told Rin that the demon king of the hellish dimension was waiting for him. At that moment, Rin's father, a priest named Shiro, appeared and began chanting an exorcism spell to expel the spirit of Strahd. Once the spell was complete, all the evil spirits left the man's body, revealing his name to be Coulter, a kind of evil spirit that gathers in dark places and around bad people. His origin was the hellish dimension that holds demons, but sometimes they move into the human world and take control of things there. After this event, Shiro revealed Rin's true identity and explained that he was the son of Satan, the strongest demon, born from a human mother. Evil spirits began to gather around them with increasing intensity, as if affirming Shiro's words. They then fled from the scene. Father Fujimoto began chanting a spell to prevent the spirits from gathering around them. However, a horde of ghouls appeared in front of them, dead creatures whose bodies were controlled by Coulter. Fujimoto managed to defeat them by throwing holy water bombs and continued their escape, hoping the activity of the spirits would decrease when the sun rose. Meanwhile, the man Rin had hit regained consciousness after the spirit of Strahd was expelled from him, but he remembered nothing. Still, his anger was evident, especially when his friends mentioned Rin's name in front of him. Soon after, he was consumed by a fit of rage, and the spirit of Strahd possessed him again. He smiled as he looked at the church's protection, revealing that everyone there knew about evil spirits and demons. They were preparing for the coming war and had set up barriers to keep spirits and ghouls out. After that, Shiro went down to the basement with Rin and gave him the sword they had seen earlier. Shiro explained that the sword was Kurakara, the legendary demon-slaying sword, and that Rin's demonic powers were sealed within it. He asked Rin to protect the sword with all his strength and not to let anyone take it. He also warned Rin never to draw the sword from its sheath, as it would break the seal on his demonic powers, and Rin would never be able to become human again. Shiro explained that only Rin could inherit his father's powers, while his brother, Yukio, was fully human. As time passed, Strahd arrived at the church and attacked with a truck after killing its driver. Ghouls began to spread throughout the church. Acting quickly, Shiro locked Rin in the church's basement and gave him a phone with one number, so he could call someone who knew what to do when dawn arrived. Meanwhile, Shiro and his disciples faced Strahd and the ghouls using exorcism spells. However, it seemed Strahd's power was too great for them to handle. While locked away, Rin began to remember sad memories from his childhood, when he was often accused of being a demon because he always caused trouble. This time, Rin realized the accusations were true, and he fell into despair. At the same time, his brother Yukio began to worry because he was trying to contact Rin but received no response. The number of demons and evil spirits inside the church continued to increase. Strahd then revealed his true form, which was stronger and larger, making it impossible for the people in the church to fight him. At that moment, Rin could no longer wait in the basement and decided to escape. He attacked Strahd, managing to pin his neck to the ground. Shiro quickly took advantage of the situation and began performing a ritual to expel the spirit of Strahd from the human world. Without taking a moment's rest, Shiro assigned tasks to his students. Some were tasked with placing seals on the body possessed by Strahd and performing a spiritual purification ritual, while others prepared a vehicle to take Rin far from there. Although Rin refused to leave them at a time like this, Shiro insisted that his top priority was hiding Rin, as he was the one the demons were after. Satan himself had arrived and taken over Shiro's body. Evil traits began to appear in him, and he spoke to Rin as Satan, his biological father. Because his presence was overwhelming for a human body, Shiro's body began to deteriorate, bleeding from all over. However, Satan used this limited time to open the gate to Gehenna, the demon world, and asked Rin to return with him. When Rin refused, he forcibly dragged him toward the gate. At that moment, demonic creatures emerged from the gate and pulled him in, accompanied by Satan's loud laughter and Rin's desperate cries for help. In a moment of resistance, Shiro regained consciousness and control over his body. He immediately stabbed himself in the heart to end Satan's existence in the human world. Unfortunately, the gate had already opened, and both he and Rin were still being dragged into it. With no other choice, Rin drew the legendary demon-slaying sword from its sheath. All his power ignited, and blue flames surrounded his body. He transformed into a demonic figure, with a tail, pointed ears, and sharp teeth. With his newfound strength, Rin destroyed the Gehenna Gate in a single strike, ending its existence in the human world. After the battle, Shiro's body lay before him, just as his brother, Yukio, arrived to witness the final scene after their adoptive father's death. After everything that had happened, Rin decided to resign from the church. He left his friends and headed toward his father's friend, whose phone number was in the phone given to him by his father. At the designated location, a luxurious pink limousine appeared, and a flamboyant man in a white suit stepped out. He told Rin that he would take him to the same academy as his brother, Yukio, as this man was the academy's director. Finally, Rin and the strange man headed toward the academy. From a distance, they saw the academy situated in the middle of a city, separated from the outside world, with every facility one could possibly need. They were instructed to study hard and adhere to the school uniform. During the new student orientation, Rin was shocked to learn that his brother, Yukio, was the student representative because he had achieved the highest entrance exam score. Yukio gave an enthusiastic speech welcoming the new academic year, while Rin thought about hiding everything that had happened to avoid disrupting Yukio's studies in the medical faculty. The school looked beautiful both inside and out, with very clean classrooms and polite services. As Rin explored the place, a strange dog suddenly appeared in front of him. The dog seemed focused on Rin, then ran as if leading him in a certain direction. Rin quickly chased after it to see where it was going. To his surprise, the dog transformed into its true form, which turned out to be the headmaster named Mephistopheles. Mephisto possessed magical powers and also led a secret organization at the school. The academy was merely a front for the real purpose behind it. Mephisto gave Rin a key that could be used to access a special classroom where he would learn to exorcise spirits and fight demons. However, Rin would still attend regular classes like the other students. Fortunately, the exorcism class started on the first day, while regular classes began a week later, giving him time to prepare. Mephisto asked him to keep his true identity as Satan's biological son a secret, as it could cause major problems. He instructed Rin to open the door in front of him with the given key, and as soon as Rin opened it, he found himself in a large hallway, as if he had entered another world. Mephisto transformed back into a dog and sat with him, explaining how the learning process would work. In the first lesson, Mephisto explained that seeing spirits was the most important skill, and it didn't happen by chance. Humans had to be harmed by an evil spirit first to be able to see other spirits. In the middle of the conversation, a big surprise awaited Rin. The teacher responsible for the new students was none other than Yukio, his own brother. Yukio began by introducing himself and explaining that he had been learning exorcism since he was 7 years old and had graduated 2 years ago. Yukio then asked the students about their spirit-inflicted wounds to ensure that they were all prepared for the lesson. However, Rin couldn't accept what had happened, and his mind couldn't comprehend the situation. He asked Yukio to send the other students away so they could talk privately. Rin explained that he had studied under the direct guidance of their foster father, Shiro, and already knew everything about demons and spirits. He has been evil from the start because he was hurt by Rin, who was considered the direct son of Satan when he was a child. Since then, he's been able to see spirits. In his panic, a vial Yukio had prepared fell. The vial was meant to summon a demon for research and to explain certain things to the students. However, without warning, its entire contents spilled onto the floor, summoning far more demons than intended. With incredible speed and high skill, Yukio quickly drew his weapon and started shooting them one by one. Rin grew angrier because Yukio continued to ignore him amid the chaos. An argument broke out between them. Yukio revealed that Rin was actually a demon, and he condemned his desire to become an exorcist because he was the son of Satan and considered the greatest threat to humanity. Yukio added more pressure by revealing that Rin was the cause of their father Shiro's death. We then learn that Satan had always targeted Shiro because he was the strongest exorcist in the world, and the only one capable of resisting possession by Satan, even if only for a few minutes. Yukio also mentioned that Shiro was fully aware of this and was always cautious and in control of himself. There might have been a conflict that caused Shiro to lose control, giving Satan the opportunity to take over his body. Rin then recalled the moment he yelled at Shiro, saying that he no longer considered him his father. It was then that Shiro lost control and slapped Rin, allowing Satan to take over his body. The fight between Rin and Yukio stopped when a large evil spirit appeared. Rin managed to cut the spirit in half with his sword, saving the situation. At that moment, Rin made his motives clear. He wanted to train as an exorcist to protect the people he loved and become strong enough to defeat Satan. However, all the exorcists were now after him, making it a difficult task. He had to hide his true identity because if they found out the truth, he would become the primary target, as they wouldn't agree with his desire to defeat Satan on his own. The students were shocked by the destruction in the classroom, and after the class ended, we learned that Rin and Yukio would be staying together in the same dormitory to begin their training journey and prepare Rin to defeat Satan with his newfound power. But, as usual, clumsy Rin spent most of his time reading manga and goofing around. Meanwhile, Yukio was preparing for a mission he had been assigned. Rin, like a child, kept begging to come along, and after much persuasion, Yukio finally agreed, on the condition that Rin would only observe and not interfere. However, before the battle, Yukio needed supplies and used a special key to access the exorcist's supply room. When they arrived at the store, he asked Rin to wait outside as he wasn't allowed in. But Rin couldn't resist exploring the area until he found a garden with a little girl inside. When he touched the garden door, it broke, scaring the girl, and she tried to run away. Meanwhile, Yukio had prepared a long list of necessary items, and the shop owner began gathering them. Yukio inquired about the health of the shop owner's daughter, and the response was heartbreaking. The girl was suffering from a condition that caused her to lose the ability to walk, which had persisted since her grandmother passed away, and doctors hadn't been able to find a cure. On the other hand, the girl's initial fear of Rin turned into friendship, and she started helping him care for the plants. The girl shared stories of her past in the garden and her memories with her grandmother. At that moment, Yukio arrived in the garden, surprising Rin to discover that Yukio was also friends with the girl, whose name was Shiremi. Shiremi was also shocked to learn that Rin and Yukio were brothers. Yukio asked Shiremi to show him her legs to examine the wound, and as he suspected, it was a demon's mark. Fortunately, there were no signs of possession or malevolent influence, meaning the spirit was in the garden, draining her energy to manifest itself in the human world. Shimi's mother then began crying because she was emotionally attached to the garden and blamed it for all their troubles, which had nearly ruined her life. Shiremi couldn't bear hearing this and fainted. She was then moved to a room near the garden to rest. According to Yukio, Shimi's presence in the garden had worsened her condition, as they believed that Shiremi was indirectly responsible for her grandmother's death in an accident, and the demon spirit in the garden had exploited that. Shimi's guilt and attachment to the garden changed as her energy was drawn away, and she began communicating with it. She was asked to give all her power to protect the garden. Due to her innocence and guilt, Shiremi agreed to the contract, and from that point on, her suffering began. In the middle of the night, Shiremi woke from her sleep, feeling drained, and began watering the garden. That's when Rin saw her and grew furious with her actions. Rin started destroying the flowers in hopes of freeing Shiremi from her guilt over her grandmother, who turned out to be the source of energy for the evil spirit. Finally, the evil spirit revealed its true form and bound Shiremi, using her as a shield when Yukio arrived to destroy the spirit. To everyone's surprise, Yukio asked Rin for help, and at that moment, Rin drew his sword. He quickly attacked the evil spirit, but couldn't strike recklessly because Shiremi was being used as a shield. Yukio fired his bullet with a face that seemed indifferent to Shiremi, but it turned out to be a trick. The bullet hit Shiremi directly, causing the evil spirit to panic and flee. This gave Rin the opportunity to finish it off with a single slash of his sword. Afterward, Rin immediately ran to Shiremi to make sure she was okay. Yukio then smiled, revealing that he had used special bullets that didn't affect humans to trick the spirit and give Rin a chance to strike. When Shiremi regained consciousness, for the first time since her grandmother's death, she could walk normally again, as they had successfully rid her of the spirit that had been draining her energy. The next day at school, Rin felt tired and sleepy, unable to focus on his lessons. In class, there was a student named Suguro who always looked at him with a challenging glare. However, due to Rin's lazy nature, his grades were very poor, in stark contrast to Suguro, who was the top student in the class. This made Rin feel frustrated, and a fight broke out between them until Yukio stepped in to separate them just as class ended. During a break, Yukio told Rin that Suguro was a very talented student, the heir to a famous temple in Kyoto. We also learned that Shiremi had decided to join the Exorcist Academy, and Yukio supported her decision. While they were talking, Suguro and his friends approached them, and as usual, another argument broke out between Suguro and Rin. They eventually decided to settle their differences in a practical training class, which turned into a competition. Suguro even attacked Rin, forcing their teacher to intervene and warn them not to keep fighting. Moreover, Rin was at the academy under special orders from the principal. Suguro's friends tried to understand the reason behind his hostility toward Rin, and it was eventually revealed that Suguro's main goal was to avenge the demon that had destroyed his temple on the Blue Night 16 years ago. That night was also when senior exorcists were killed. After that incident, people began to avoid Suguro's temple, deeming it cursed, and refused to help anyone associated with it. Since then, Suguro and his friends had been determined to learn exorcism techniques to restore the temple's former glory. During training, their teacher had to leave due to personal matters and instructed them not to enter the training arena